Hi
Good.
there, this is Scott Silverman. I'm here talking with Arielle Guttman on behalf of the Florida North Atlantic NCGR. Arielle is giving us a rare midsummer seminar because the Florida NCGR usually shuts down for the summer, and she's going to be giving our group a seminar on her Venus star rising work. And I have a copy of her wonderful book right here, Venus Star Rising, which I love, and you can buy it on Amazon. And this is a reissue. I love this cover more. Um, Ariel, let me ask you this. Well, first, let me just mention the workshop will be July 19th. I believe it's 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And you have to go to the Florida Atlantic NCGR website to sign up, as this is an online only conference. It will not be happening in person. Arielle, what will someone get out of this workshop that they can't get from reading your book?
Personal questions addressed to me about their own Venus star points and answers in real time, for one. That's the beauty of coming to an online workshop. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, can I get the recording afterwards?" Well, yeah, you can get the recording afterwards, but for me, the beauty of being in anybody's workshop, and I try to do people, astrologers and other people that I really admire and that I want to learn from. I love to go to register and be there in person when I can. I'm in Greece, so the time difference between the US and where I am is not, it's not always possible for me to attend live unless they're in the morning over there because I'm 7 hours ahead of East Coast time. But um, what I find is like I was teaching at Kepler College this last spring, both on the Venus material and the mapping. And I loved having that live audience there because after the presentation of the PowerPoint and the demonstration of how it works, the technique, there we had so much time for discussion, questions and answers, people wanting to know, well, how does it work? I was born here. Is that before or after the next Kazemi? Which one should I use? Or how does it relate to my partner or whatever? So this is all kinds of interesting
And that
discussion
personal
points can come
interaction
up.
is energizing. And I took one of your classes and it was wonderful. I took your class on astrocartography. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I'm glad you're back to
You're a very good
teaching.
student. You're a very good student.
Oh,
And
thank you. I'm glad you're back to teaching live because I think you took a break for a while. And although we get very tired of digital culture, it's so wonderful who we can connect with and learn from on Zoom. So here's the next question. How did the
okay.
idea for your research on the Venus star originally manifest? Was it a revelatory download or did it come to you sequentially over time?
Both. And it wasn't even over time. It all came pretty much at once. I mean, the pattern came at once. The research took 7 years to compile and put into the book to get it published. But it was sort of a download, but the download came from me asking questions and trying to trace the pattern of Venus retrogrades, and then finding the five-pointed star come up again and again, and then checking out that five-pointed star pattern of how it was working in real time in our lives, for instance, now, and also in, well, oh, we were all born at a certain time when the pentagram, where would it have been then? And when I started looking at my own Venus star point and subsequent the whole pentagram, I started with just the main point, but the main Cazimi of Venus, because we're all born with the one prenatal Cazimi. But if you go through the whole, if you want to go into more advanced material, you can put it into the whole, all 5 points of the star. And I find that since Venus makes that pattern in her orbit, um, we are, the human anatomy is actually so related to Venus,
Well, because
to the
we're
Venus.
we're five-pointed stars
We
ourselves.
are
We're human starfish. Yes,
the little
like that.
Vitruvian, we're all little Vitruvian men and women, and we are, like Leonardo pointed out, and measuring all the parts of the body and the perfect form, the perfect harmony. And that pattern, that image, that Vitruvian figure
Where he's
has
in the
been
square
used.
and the circle, right? When the
Yeah,
figure, right?
yeah. And it's also used, in a lot of healing centers, like for holistic health, for perfect health, body, mind, spirit. They use that little, that symbol of the man with.
I've never asked you this, but did anybody else's original research influence your theorizing about the Venus star configuration?
I was looking all over the place for anything astrological about the Venus pentagram, and I didn't find a lot, but I did find some. Yeah. Erin Sullivan, in her book on retrogrades, had talked about the Venus retrograde pattern, and there's a chapter in that book about the Venus pentagram. And uh, the other one, Daniel Jamario, had published in the Mountain Astrologer in the late 90s. He had published a article on Venus retrograde and Mars retrograde, and he talked about the pentagram as well. Um, but both of them were using different points for the what I have come to name the star points, or the Cazimi point. I use the Cazimi of Venus and the Sun for star points. Daniel, I believe, was using heliacal rise,
Okay.
which is the first appearance of Venus from an experiential or shamanic point of view. That's very important in that world of sky watching. And Erin, I believe, was using the retrograde, the actual, because she was talking about retrogrades. So she was using the actual retrograde of, but whatever place you start from, it doesn't really matter. As long as you stay consistent, you're still going to get the five-pointed star.
Fantastic. I'm going to move fast only because I want to get through these questions. So slow me down if I seem like a runaway chariot. Okay. Did you ever consider creating a software program that would cater to that would center on the Venus star work, or has anybody else approached you to do so?
No, because I don't really get to conferences much anymore. But in my early days as an astrologer, I used to go to conferences, and I would approach software developers about all the things I wanted to see in programs that weren't there yet. And I was successful in getting some of them to include those things later on. So my hope and my dream is that we will find the Venus star points coming through the astrological software. It's already in the Sirius software. David Cochran approached me several years ago and said there had been requests for it. So he put it in there. There's another astrology program called Planet Dance. They have it in there.
Called what? I'm sorry. Planet
Planet
Dance. Oh,
Dance.
that's for the phone. I have Planet Dance on my phone. I'll have to check. I didn't realize the Venus star was on there.
The star points are there too. Um, I'm not crazy about the output of how it looks. Like Venus needs to be presented a little bit more elegantly, and it's kind of clunky the way the software has presented it. But I would like a combination of a software engineer as well as an artist, um, develop the next phase of how we display the Venus Star points. Because in my own program, I have a Venus Star training course, 3 levels, that you can become certified as a Venus Star Point practitioner and teacher. And in my course, I show different ways of displaying the pentagram, different artistic renderings and representations of it so that you can actually use it, um, in the way Venus would like, which is a kind of a beautiful way.
Where can
Yeah.
people find out info about this course? Is it on your website?
Yeah, it's on my website. Yeah.
And that what's your website is?
Sophia with a PH,
Yep.
Venus.com.
Great.
SophiaVenus.com, which literally means the wisdom of Venus. Sophia
Yep.
means wisdom.
It's amazing. Is Venus very prominent in your own chart?
Well, it's conjunct my North Node and it's in my first house.
So that's a
So
yes. That's a big astro yes. Um,
it's
what must
also, yeah, it's also doing other things, but that's the big one, I think. Yeah.
what must attendees know about to get the most out of your workshop? And is there anything they need to bring?
Well, an open mind, a somewhat of a familiarity with their own chart. Um, I will teach them in the workshop how to look up their Venus star point and how to find it if they don't already know that. Um, I'm assuming some people will already know that, but we can always double check to make sure they, looked up the right thing because, you get a set of dates. It's like an ephemeris with a set of dates in it. And a lot of people will say, well, do I use the one before I was born or the one after I was born? It's kind of like looking up, have you ever looked up a prenatal eclipse point in your
Yep.
chart? Okay. And sometimes you're born right before the next eclipse. And so the tendency would be to say, well, I'm going to go to the next eclipse because I was born closer to that. But actually, you weren't born yet. So that eclipse, it's like the prenatal one is the one that's, at least with Venus, I don't know about the eclipse, but with Venus, it's the one that is already programmed or patterned into your cellular makeup as you are being developed, as you are developing in the womb. And I call it the cosmic heartbeat. The Venus cazimi is the cosmic heartbeat. And I really feel like it connects our personal heart center to the heartbeat of to the Venus, to the and I think Venus is the heartbeat of our solar system, maybe even greater than that, even beyond the solar system. But in our neighborhood, in our neck of the woods, in space, we have our solar system. And I know there's a lot of other things out there beyond, and greater. But if we want to stay kind of in this field, I would say that the Venus Sun Cazimi, it's really a Venus Earth Sun relationship.
Right. And
And
just to
so,
simplify it for some of our viewers who have never heard of it, what's the basic premise of the Venus star in about three or four sentences? What are
okay,
we looking at?
so we're looking at the orbit of Earth around the sun compared to the orbit of Venus around the sun, right?
Yep.
And every so often, in their different speeds, Venus is ahead, and then sometimes she catches up with the sun, and there's this kiss. So that's called a cazimi or conjunction from our point of view. And then maybe the sun goes ahead of Venus because Venus has just gone retrograde or something, and so it's going back. And then the sun keeps going ahead, but by the time Venus goes direct and catches up with the sun, it's not till the next cazimi. So we're continually rotating on Earth between, like what we would call the superior conjunction and the inferior conjunction of
Yep.
Venus and the sun. One of them produces the morning star Venus, and the other one produces the evening star Venus. Their length of time is exactly the same. In other words, in number of days, it's the same. In number of days of visibility, it's not always the same because it takes longer to see Venus emerge from the evening star cazimi than it does from her morning star cazimi due to astronomical factors that I will describe and explain in the workshop. Um, but really, you don't have to know the astronomy. I mean, if you read the book, you will find most of the astronomy is in there, explained in as simply and easily as I could have imagined, because will say that I'm not um, that well versed in the astronomy of how everything happens. I have some knowledge of it, but more important, I think it's the beauty and the elegance that the Venus star produces in its pentagram and in its eight years to five to make the five-pointed star in 8 years. It's also what's called the phi ratio. Have you heard of, the Venus Earth ratio is phi, PHI, and that is part of the Fibonacci sequence. It's also a number that's been described as beauty and harmony. Mathematicians love that number, and actually designers and artists use that frequency quite a bit. Well, it's our Venus, it's everything you would expect from Venus.
Right, and the golden mean aspects, which you can access
Yes.
on Sirius, as well as the golden mean midpoints, I believe in the future will be researched, and I think there'll be some breakthrough discoveries using golden mean
Yeah.
astrology. Let me ask you, because
Yeah.
you talked about
Yeah.
the astronomy, to what extent do declination or latitude influence the Venus star configuration? And you can say pass if
Well,
you want, that's okay.
no, no, the main answer I have to that is that the Cazimi is when they're conjunct by longitude.
Yes.
Okay, we're just looking at the longitudinal placement. In terms of declination or latitude, however you want to measure it, when we have a transit of Venus, meaning we can see Venus go across the face of the sun, like we did in 2004 and 2012, and we will not have another one until 2117. Those are rarer. That is when the latitude or the declination of Venus and
Is
the
lined
sun
up.
are, yeah, it's all lined up together, and that's what produces the apparent phenomena of a Venus eclipse. It's like a lunar eclipse blotting out the sun, but the moon, it's so incredible that the moon, from our point of view on Earth, when it's full, is the same size as the disk of the sun. I mean, has anyone ever stopped to think about how crazy that is and how coincidental it is not that we have that, as many millions of miles away as the sun is and as close as the moon is. And from our point of view, they're exactly the same size, so that the moon can, do that to the sun. But Venus, in its little tiny, it's when it eclipses the sun, it shows up as a little black dot moving across the face of the sun. It's not like covering the whole thing, but
Right, I
it's the
know.
only time you can really see Venus, when it's conjunct the sun. It's the only time, you know, that
Yeah,
it's
I'm
visible.
sorry. I'm sorry. We had cloudy weather here that day in I think 2012 was it? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Uh,
it was cloudy in Chichen Itza too, where I was watching it in the Mayan center, because the Mayans were great lovers of Venus, great watchers of Venus. And
yes.
so I went down there for a tour and for the Venus transit, and we didn't get to see it because of the clouds. But let me tell you, the leader of that group, the shaman, who wasn't necessarily aware of Venus and the Venus transit and all that, I was presenting that material at the workshop, but he said to me a day or a day and a half after the exact time of the transit, he said, well, I don't know about this Venus and what it actually means, but I want to tell you that three miracles happened in this last 48 hours, that of all the time I've been leading tours here, these things have never happened before, and they all happened. And I said, well, I think that's Venus. I think that's the Venus transit. And I also think that it was the, what, I mean, I'm very Neptunian myself. I just had to say, I think that the ancient watchers of Venus who inhabited this area and who tracked Venus, their spirits are still here, they're still alive, and that they saw us coming here to view Venus, but the weather didn't permit, but they still created these miracles, so-called miracles for us.
It's amazing. Let me ask you a few questions about how the condition of Venus in the chart may or may not affect one's experience of the Venus star. Does having a retrograde Venus in the nativity influence the interpretation of
Mhm.
particular or consecutive Venus star configurations?
When Venus is retrograde, it's closer to the sun, for one thing. And because the cazimi is created, the star point is created from the cazimi when Venus and the sun are in exact alignment. The retrograde Venus is actually, I've changed my whole interpretation of retrograde Venus after I started doing the Venus star work, because I feel like that's one of the most important parts of the Venus cycle. It's probably the most important part of the Venus cycle.
Cool. What about having an out of bounds Venus in your natal chart, or an out of bounds Venus or a natal Sun conjunction in the horoscope, or a
Well,
midpoint pattern that's
it's all a Venus amplification, however you want to measure it. There's different ways of measuring it, but obviously it's going to amplify that person's particular Venus, either by sign or by house or aspect pattern or out of boundsness or whatever you want to call it. Um, I don't, I think each one is so unique. It's like when we look at a chart, every chart has its very unique feature to it that
yes.
isn't repeated in somebody else's exact chart. Uh, like today, I was doing research for another project that I'm working on, and I was doing rest in peace, my dear, Brian Wilson's chart. And I will be showing his chart in the Venus workshop we're doing in Florida. He was born only two
Fantastic.
days from Paul McCartney, and so they were like astro twins, but 2 days apart. And so they have a lot. They have the same star points. They have the same pentagram. They have the same a lot of things. There's only an ascendant and a moon that's really kind of different, and a couple of other little minor things. But um, they were they were mutual admirers of each other from a distance. There was also a little bit of competitiveness, friendly kind of competitiveness there in the beginning, but they respected each other a lot, and they were both musical geniuses, and they gave the world, I think those two people gave the world some of the best music that
And
we've
they
ever
wrote
had.
very heart-centered music often, right?
Exactly.
And a lot of their
Yeah,
music was almost sort of about encouraging people to open their hearts. So,
exactly.
wow.
Exactly.
Okay, we're almost done. Is there such a thing as a Venus star by progression or solar arc? And how would these differ from ones created by transiting planets?
Okay, that's a loaded question. Um, the Venus star can progress, and it also transits. And I'm going to talk a little bit about both of those in the workshop. That's a little bit more advanced material.
Yes, that's for the
The
course.
first
That's for
thing
the three-part course.
the first thing I want to do is explain the natal Venus point and how to work with it, how to get the most out of it from your chart and your life. Because I really feel like because it's the sun and Venus, I think it's like, I've always described it as like a laser theme of light from the sun and love from the heart center to the physical body, earth or us, and that it brings us joy. It brings us a reason to feel alive and connected. And it kind of you can trace it back to like what really does make you feel alive, what really does make you feel like, wow, this is it. This is what I'm here for. This, not in a sort of sole purpose or what I'm here to learn or whatever. It's more like, how do I engage my heart into something beautiful that makes my life feel worthwhile?
Fantastic. So,
And I think that's a good note to end on because,
yeah.
you did very well, Scott, delivering those questions. And thank you for that beautiful promotion of my book in the beginning, too.
Oh, for sure. Let's hold it up again. Now, I want to
Okay.
reiterate your workshop
A
is
virtual
on.
signing. I'm going to sign it for you virtually.
Oh, thank you. And I'll treasure it even more. And I already treasure it as a place of honor on my bookshelf. Um, so that's July 19th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It's $30 for non-NCGR members and $25 for members of the NCGR. Almost certain, but I'm going to double check. And
I think you're
website,
right.
the
I think you're
website,
right. I saw that.
right, the website for our where you can register or find out more information is astrologyfla.com. I'll give you the whole little line of text, https colon / astrologyfla.com / event / Arielle Guttman Venus star points. And we hope to see you there. And
Oh, that's great. You know what? And the simple way is just NCGR Florida.
yes, that too. But I I've been I've been criticized. I've also been called out for reading the whole line. There you go. So remember,
Are you gonna
I like
are you
you,
gonna
I
be
grew
in
up
the
in
workshop Saturday? Are you gonna be there?
I will be there. I think I actually, fortunately, I might have to leave a little early for a prior commitment, but I'll get the recording. But I'll definitely be there at 10 when we start. I'm going to set 4 alarm clocks, and I believe this will awaken me. Arielle, thank you so much for doing this interview at the last moment. We were a little harried, but I think you gave our prospective workshop attendees a real taste of what they won't want to miss. So thank you once
I hope
again on
so.
behalf
Thank you so much
of our
and
group.
thank you,
Yeah.
Florida NCGR, for even inviting me. I don't know how that happened, but it happened, and I'm very happy because I'm really thrilled to be able to present this. And so this little video that we just did now is going on my Instagram page really soon. So look it up. Venus
Wonderful.
Point,
And I want to
Venus
encourage
dot
you. I
star
want to
dot
encourage,
point,
oh, go ahead.
Venus dot star dot point on Instagram. That's where you can find me.
Here, let me write that down. Venus star
Point with
point.
dots in the middle. Venus dot point dot star.
Great.
I'm sorry, Venus star point with dots. I'm I'm getting confused now.
I
Okay.
know it's
It's
my
time to go.
Neptune.
It's late.
It
It's 10:30 at night here. I'm getting a little
right.
wobbly.
You deserve a badge of honor for doing an
My
interview at
brain's been
10:30 at
on
night.
for my brain's been on for 14 hours now, so I'm ready to turn it off.
Is there any chance you could find a conference center in Greece and eventually give a little on-site conference on the Venus star work, maybe 3 or 4
Oh yeah,
days?
that's going to happen. We've already got two or three in the works.
Fantastic. All right, I'm gonna say sayonara, which means we'll see each other again.